who has been seen spotted riding around Annecy in the sort of edge of the Alps with no sleeves, very short socks, and hairy
Ten,
legs.
10 years ago, would it have been you?
Yeah. Although I
Wow.
don't think I would have done the short socks, but I might have
No.
rocked the gilet with no, the vest with no sleeves, kind of vibe that he's rocking. Yeah, Jonas Vingegaard was sort of spotted. There's a bunch of tour stages that are happening up in that part of the world, so they're never actually going to be in Annecy. Annecy.
That's a shame.
There's a start in Albertville, which is like a half hour around the lake, basically,
Classic.
and then that stage finishes in La Plagne, which is a big nasty stage. So I think he's probably just staying down there and riding from there or near there. But regardless, he's cruising around the Alps, and it was less the fact that he was there, which is not the least bit surprising. He's doing recon for those last couple stages. Like I said, specifically, we're talking.
Well, they go to Teen as well, don't they? That's where
Yeah,
they own a chalet or something there.
yeah. So yeah, we're talking about stage 18, 19, and then 20 actually heads 20's up north of Geneva. Um, so he's cruising around, and it was more the vibe that he was putting off, and the fact that he. So it's June, right? It's not the first time that we've seen a major GC contender roll around with hairy legs. Primoz Roglic, quite famously, has done this at early season stage. Like I think he did at Paris-Nice. He rocked up to Paris-Nice with hairy legs.
Yeah.
Sagan at some
Now,
point, I think, as well.
Sagan has done a bunch of hairy-legged races. Hairy legs are a funny thing, right? Because cyclists do it. Doesn't make any goddamn sense, really. Like let's be honest. They talk about it's for road rash or it's for massages or maybe it's even for aerodynamics. I think that's been tested in the wind tunnel. I couldn't tell you if it's faster or slower. Can't remember, but I think it's basically mostly irrelevant, to be honest. But we all do it as sort of like I don't know, an indication of readiness, an indication of seriousness, an indication that you like are there to do the job, to do the thing, right?
Okay.
And it's only a couple days. Well, do either of you disagree with me on this one? I mean, it's a part of cycling. It has been for decades and decades and decades. And we're at the beginning of June, and Vingegaard's rolling around. Didn't even bring a razor, right? Like to get hair that long, he hasn't shaved in maybe since he crashed at Paris. He's got the short socks. He looks like he's headed to an age group triathlon. Is what he looks like. Is exactly what he looks like. And I like it. I think the vibe he is putting off is I care so little about everything. Like the I care so little about like looking pro, looking like I'm about to go try to win the Tour de France, that I'm gonna just cruise around looking like this. I wrote a little story about this, which some of you might, by the time this goes up, you may have read. And it includes the horseshoe theory of flexing, which is that have you heard about the horseshoe theory of politics?
No, can you explain the horseshoe stuff?
So the horseshoe theory of politics is that the far left and the far right actually have more in common with each other than the center.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it's a sort of well-established thing, right? Because they're both kind of yahoos. Yahoos on one side, yahoos on the other side. The thing they have in common is the yahoo-ness.
I can't
Right?
believe we've become a centrist dad podcast. It was inevitable, but to actually speak it out loud, fine.
No, but like it's not me coming up with this anyway. It's a thing. So I'm applying this to flexing, to like intimidation, right? And I think that sort of aggressive intimidation and intimidation via nonchalance
Yeah.
are actually closer to each other than the middle, which is sort of like the try hard intimidation.
Yeah.
It's like you have actually intimidating over here, and you have just care so little that it's actually kind of scary.
Like people who try really hard to be cool and succeed, like in terms of their fashion, but then you have on the other people who don't try at all, then they're
Are also cool.
sometimes. Yeah. Is that it,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
So that's exactly the horseshoe theory of
I love this
call it
horseshoe
flexing.
thing. This
Yeah.
explains the whole world.
it explains the whole world when you really
Wow.
start to think about it. Anyways, I guess that's my point about the way that Vingegaard was sort of presenting himself again, like a couple days before the Dauphiné. He's about to go do the second biggest race he will do all year, and he's just sort of cruising around looking like a dad headed to an age group triathlon. And I genuinely think it's sort of like he has shed any earthly concern with aesthetics or a traditional notion of being intimidating, right? Because the traditional notion of being intimidating, if you're in his position, is looking, socks the right height, glistening legs, shaved.
I mean, he's always been a tree
all the
person,
things.
so it's hard to be intimidating, really. The only intimidating thing is when he goes up a mountain and you can't follow.
But that's what I mean.
And
the most intimidating thing he can do is to just
not care. Yeah, you're
not
right.
care.
Well,
so I loved it.
With your Pogacars and maybe your Evenepoels, there's other riders I think who they're out there trying to set those Strava KOMs. They want to instill fear in that way, and I think Vingegaard clearly doesn't care about that. Like Vingegaard cares less about that, apparently, based on what we're seeing, than I do. I will never set a Strava KOM, especially not in Boulder. I won't even be in like the top 50 on any segment I will ever ride. But
welcome to the club, yeah.
But I care, so I'm gonna wear slightly better fitting kit than Vingegaard is wearing. He doesn't care. He's just there for the training. He's only gonna care at the Tour de France, and that's that horseshoe flex right there.
Mm-hmm. I just think there's no point in me caring, because the more is the horseshoe thing. 'Cause the more I care, I think the worse I would end up looking. You know what I mean?
Maybe I should think of it this way.
The thing is with Vingegaard, I feel like he does deeply care about winning the Tour de France, but I feel it's only for his own personal sense of accomplishment. Like I think there was it's in the Spin Cycle newsletter this week. Someone on Twitter dug up an Instagram post of his from April 2020 when he captioned it, "Just rode my ass off at the Tour de Suisse and finished third, and now I've come home and my parents-in-law have built me this new wooden bike garage." Like it's this super sweet Instagram post that obviously we don't see anymore because he's got millions of followers and he has to post about gels or whatever nonsense on his Instagram. So obviously that's taken out of his hands. But it just speaks to the Vingegaard that I reckon still exists deep inside, and all this other, bullshit about being a meme king or, shilling for Pizza Hut and making millions of euros is just completely superfluous to him just kind of just being really good at riding his bike and ending up in this life. He's obviously worked hard to get where he is, but I feel like he gives off the vibe that he's doing. There's a real pureness to the reason he's doing it. Sort of what you get from Matteo Jorgensen and Casper Asgreen. Are you following me?
Yeah.
This is what I've been thinking about today, so I thought I'd just get it off my chest.
I think specifically this image of Vingegaard.
Yeah, exactly.
You see him like unpolished, and I think you can sort of see him better as a result. Because when we interact with him, at the Tour de France, and he is in this bubble. Yeah, he's in this Visma bubble.
He's got Dutch people asking him annoying questions,
and he's behind the Visma polish as well.
He's having to wear those stupid baseball caps,
wearing a stupid baseball cap, doing all the things, getting taken care of, and what this photo is, and the reason why I like it. And I know we're talking a hell of a lot about just like a random photo on Instagram. But the reason why I like it is because I genuinely feel like I look at this photo and I know Jonas Vingegaard better.
You've learned more about him than every interview you've ever read.
And I appreciate him more than I did prior to seeing this image.